Welcome to the latest edition of the Light in the Attic podcast.
Thank you very much.
Yes,
it's a pleasure.
It is wonderful to have you here. We're sitting here with Marcos Valle, which is, to say the least, a legendary, larger-than-life musician, songwriter, producer. I don't even know where to even start, but you've been recording music for nearly 60 years and releasing music since 1963. Working with such a giant list of artists is also, I believe your solo catalog now is up to 30 albums or some incredible list of art. But you've worked with everyone from Milton Nascimento, Azimuth, we talked about earlier, Sergio Menendez, Sarah Vaughan. I mean, the list goes on and on. But really, your solo work is something that we've just fallen in love with here at Light in the Attic. So as you know, in 2012, for those who are listening who don't know, we started re-releasing Marcos's records, the ones from the early 70s period, which we're especially fond of. We love the mixing of the styles. And also, I really want to talk to you about the lyrics, which are incredible, that your brother wrote. Uh-huh. But after all these years, almost a decade of emails and phone calls, it's such a pleasure to be sitting here with you. It's also, as I said earlier, very surreal, because we've dreamed about seeing you play in Los Angeles and never knew if it'd ever be possible. And huge hats off to Adrian and Andrew, who brought you to Los Angeles just a couple days ago. And I must say, everyone, we're all floored. Last time I went to I can't remember the last time I went to a concert, and the audience was that just screaming from the beginning to the end.
Incredible.
And,
it was an incredible reaction. I didn't expect so much. I was not performing him for a long time, so I didn't know exactly what to expect. But it was absolutely fantastic. I felt very, very happy about it. And when I knew that the first show was sold out, and Andrew, he asked me if I could do a second one, I said, okay. I said, let's do it. Once I don't go there for a long time. And the second one was so good.
And we should note, it was
the first one.
It was in the same night. You played two sets.
Yes, we just wait 45 minutes, and we went there, and fantastic. Also, the same reaction.
The first set. You just, even by the end of it, you were just, the musicianship was phenomenal, everything, but also you just seemed so fresh, like you could have just played till 5 a.m. It was fantastic. I also should say I love that first track from your new album, Sempre. I forgot the name of the track. The first track, number one.
I think
it's
Odisseia. Is it instrumental or is it vocal?
Vocal.
The first one, I don't know, Alma or
no, it had a longer title.
Olha Quem Tá Chegando.
It had this great vibe, and you kind of...
could be Olha Quem Tá Chegando, or Alma, or Minha Romã, É Você, or...
It's okay.
Well...
I just wanted to mention it because people, the album's available now. It just came out on Far Out Records, and it's actually Olha... I'm going to pronounce it wrong.
Olha Quem Tá Chegando.
Thank you very much.
That I sang twice.
Yes.
I don't know if in the first set, but in the second show...
No, it was in the first set.
I sang it twice.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Twice, yes, at the end.
First set you sang it once, but it was great. A good vibe. I love that song. So It's nice to see. I think that's your first album in a decade.
Yes, I was recording during this time the record with other artists.
Yeah.
I recorded with Edu Lobo and Dori Caymmi. Then I had recorded with Stacey Kent. There was another album called Os Bossa Nova with Donato and Menescal and Carlos Lira, but it's a solo album.
Yep.
10 years, because the previous one was in Statica that I have recorded 10 years ago. So then I came with this new one. And
I got to ask why. This was your first LA show since 1978? We can pause it for a second.
Yes. No, don't.
Okay.
No, don't.
No problem. We'll keep chatting.
No,
so I got to ask why'd you take so long to get back?
I'm not exactly sure, because I have been a lot of concentration in my work in Europe, a lot in Europe. And when we talk about United States, then I was going a lot. Every year I go to New York and to play in Birdland, which is a very nice jazz club. But for some reasons, there were some ideas, even from Drew, to come to Los Angeles, but it didn't happen for some reason. So I don't know. It was a kind of asking me. So now it was the time to come. I don't know. I think I really believe in things that happen in my life like this. Suddenly, something happened here I didn't plan, and it happened so well. So I'm used to
You've had a lot of that in your life. I've heard
all
you
the
talk about
time.
that before, and I
All
can
the
see it
time,
being.
all the time.
It's really truthful.
Yeah, it's true.
It's honest.
Yes.
It's kind of incredible. The life you've had is phenomenal.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the way. That's I feel even until today, as you say, now it's almost 6 years of career, and I always had this idea of wait, and the things come in the right time, and then I just have to do it, okay, the best way that I can, and I love it this way. I think that I believe in this destiny situation, really.
It's worked out well, so don't change it. Whatever you've done, you kind of have this youthful enthusiasm for life that
absolutely.
I'm 43, but I hope when I'm 76, I got what you got, because it's great. You could bottle it up, and the world could use more of it. Starting going back to the beginning.
Yes.
What was that magical spark that inspired you to want to play music, and also what were you listening to as a teenager and a younger kid?
I became interested in music very, very, very soon, in both sides. One side, because my grandmother, she was a classic piano player, and so I would listen to the music of Bach, Beethoven, and Brahms, and all these classic composers. But at the same time, I'm talking about when I was very young, 5 years old. At the same time, my father, who was a lawyer, he loved the popular music, so he had a lot of records of Brazilian artists. So I would listen both, and then I started with the classic music. I started studying the classic music because they found out that I would have the talent for music. Okay. So then I just went on this way, and then I started to really choose who I want to listen to. So then I listen not only for the Brazilians, like the samba, the baião, samba canção. That's much before bossa nova, no? But at the same time, I would listen for a lot of jazz bands like Glenn Miller, a lot of people, the singers like Sinatra and Nat King Cole. I was very attracted by the black music with Marvin Gaye. Rock and roll, also it was strong, mostly Little Richard with the piano thing. And even after that, Bart Baccarat. And then the previous bossa nova, because before bossa nova there were another movement that was called, it's still samba, but a modern samba that was happening in Brazil. That was before bossa. So when I started as a professional, that was the time really of the bossa nova, because I started in '62. My first song was recorded. Bossa nova had started in '58 with João Gilberto. So that first impact of the bossa nova really got me. So that's when I started also with the guitar. So my first album is very bossa nova influence. But then, after that, all the other influence that I had started to ask for space. So then I think my style story really started to be shown how it was, all that combination, the mixture that I have. So that's how I got interested in music.
And when you were at that kind of mid-50s to say early 60s period, were you hearing this music on the radio? Especially I'm talking like the Sinatras and the Nat King Coles.
I would buy the records.
Yeah.
I would buy. I would. I don't know. Maybe I would listen to radio something, or maybe I would see a picture, a film, and I knew that I liked it so much, so the money that I would receive from my father every month, I would spend with buying these 78 records, you know. I would spend all my money there, and then I knew exactly what I want to do. So I would be listening to that music the whole day, every day. I was studying to be a lawyer, to tell you the truth, because my father was a lawyer. I would be a terrible lawyer. But my mother knew that I would be a musician. She always knew that. I decided when I was 18 years old, then it was the time. I still went to the college to be a lawyer. Then I decided, okay, no, now I'm going into music. But I would listen in the radio for sure. But I would buy a lot of records that I had at home.
Mm-hmm. I remember one thing in particular. It was more of a peer than, I guess, an influence probably, but and you mentioned him earlier, but Dory Kami, because I remember talking to you once on the phone, or a number of times, or email years ago, and I asked you, what would you recommend I should be listening to? And he was an artist, and I went out and picked up a number of his records. I wasn't familiar, and felt silly that I didn't know his music because it's phenomenal.
Yes.
Just saying, people are listening should go out and find some, because he's so many great records. I mean, I feel like as an American, Brazilian music is much. It's much. It's popular here, of course. It's made an influence. It's also such an overwhelming genre as when you're younger to discover, but in all the best ways, because there's so many. I mean, it's just phenomenal. I mean, I feel like of the maybe 20 years or something that I've started listening to Brazilian music, It's like I haven't even scratched the surface, and then people like you are turning us on to music all the time of people that your peers or influences.
Yeah.
It's just it's such how you've kind of also been a part of all these eras of it, and still that you've continue to push the envelope. Says a lot.
Yes, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but something very interesting. One of the first artists that attracted my attention in Brazil is the father of Dorival Caymmi. Dorival Caymmi, even Jobim used to love Dorival Caymmi. Dorival Caymmi, in that time, had a lot of songs recorded by a lot of people, even Carmen Miranda, who came to the States. He would have a way to play his songs. He would play the guitar and sing. Simple way, but very modern, There was a groove there. He comes from Bahia. And so Dorival Caymmi was all the time in my ears. And lately, when I started professionally, as a coincidence, I started with his son, Dori Caymmi. And Edu Lobo. And Dori Caymmi, he got all that influence from his father. But at the same time, Caymmi got the influence from Jobim, from Ravel and Debussy. So he put the whole thing together, that guitar, but the harmony very rich. So he is a fantastic artist, arranger, and a composer and singer, and my very good friend. So it was a coincidence that his father was probably the first one to influence my music.
It's another good coincidence of your life.
Yes.
It just kind of fell into your lap and has worked out really well.
Absolutely.
And, skipping forward a few years, when you have, I believe, the hit of Summer Samba, and then you end up coming to the United States.
Yeah. I
think from probably American artists who hear that and want to, try to work with you on those types of recordings, I believe. And what year was that? 67?
That was 67.
Okay.
Yes. That was 67 when I came. Before I came, I would listen to many artists, but Henry Mancini was an artist, arranger, and composer that I would love to listen a lot because of his way of writing for the orchestra and have that horns, the trompe. I don't know how you call. I think it's French horn had used as a strings. So that was so Brazilian at the same time. I remember that even Deodato, Yomir Deodato, he's my friend, and wrote even orchestrations for me. He also was very influenced by Mancini. And then I had this pleasure to meet him, to go to his house, and he asked me if I could play some guitar for his daughter, who would be later a singer. It's funny. And so then when I came in '68, then I was in touch, being together with Quincy Jones, but a lot of other artists. So, but then I spent here only 2 years, because for me it was always very difficult, mostly in that age, to be away from Brazil. I need Rio de Janeiro. I needed that flavor.
Yeah, it's got to be hard to be from home, away from home. Yeah,
it's difficult.
When you were here, what part of town were you living in?
That time, I stayed very close to Hollywood, because I had been here before with Sergio Mendes. Mm-hmm. Very in the beginning, I sing in the Brazil '65. I stay here for 1 year also with Sergio. Then I also want to return. So when I stay with Sergio, I was staying in Hollywood, very close to La Brea, very close to A&M Records.
So was there a studio that you tend to record at? Was
yes.
A&M,
yes.
A&M, or I mean, he was on A&M, I believe. Sergio, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So when I came again, then when I came the second time, then I stayed in a hotel called Sunset Marquis. Mm-hmm. Sunset Marquis, which is in Sunset Boulevard, close to Beverly Hills. Because Jobim, I remember that Jobim was there. Jobim was getting ready for his record with Sinatra.
Uh-huh.
Even there is a funny thing, because then I stay in the same hotel, and Jobim was there, and he told me a very funny story. He said, "Marcos, I'm going to tell you one thing. Sinatra is choosing the songs for the record they're going to do together." So he brought a list of songs that to suggest. And between the songs, he said Summer Samba, because he thought that he had written Summer Samba.
Yeah.
And Jobim said, "Look, it's not mine. I love the song if you want to record," but then they didn't, because it was a project that would be...
Right.
But that's where I stayed. It was in Sunset Marquis, Sunset Boulevard, almost going to Beverly Hills.
Yep. And did you like the States? Was it?
I love.
Yeah. Yep.
Then I love it so much. I love Los Angeles. It was very good to me, because at the same time that the music is here, but also had this nature part, the sea, things that...
I think it's a part of Los Angeles people don't realize till they come here. At least me. I mean, I'm from Seattle, and you kind of, especially being in certain parts of the United States, like San Francisco, Seattle, New York, you don't really like Los Angeles. It's like these, every country has these rivalries between cities.
Absolutely.
Then you come here and you notice these beautiful parks, and it's not. It's like any place. There's a lot more depth to it than meets the eye or from afar. When I was kind of going into that time with the Brazilian dictatorship starting in '64 and going all the way, I believe, to '85. Mm-hmm. One thing I found really fascinating with the reissues we're able to do of your records was the translation of the liner notes. Translation of the lyrics with Greg Kaz, who translated those with Alan Thayer. I don't speak Portuguese, so and I love the records of the sound.
Yeah.
And it just spoke to me. But once the lyrics were translated in English and I could read them, and with the liner notes, the interviews you did with Alan, it was fascinating. The lyrics written by your brother. It was fascinating, all the government censorship that was going on, and if you wanted to say something anti-government, you had to find a really creative way to flip the words.
Absolutely.
And it'd be great if you could maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, because what happened is that when a little bit after it started with 62, 63, then comes the dictatorship in 64. So everything changes. So not only changes the censorship, but also changes the way that we start to think about music. Because until there, music was the main thing, the harmony and everything. That's my mind. It was music. But when comes this military government, and you lose the freedom of expression and the newspaper and the media and everything, so the artists start to see that they have a very important part in that thing to say something to the people. Mostly when we found out what was really happening with that government, because the military government started soft, but little by little they start to get rough, and many things start to happen with tortures and everything. So what we did, all the artists would get together. I mean, actors, directors, movie makers, songwriters. We would have meetings to talk about what was happening. So then we said we have to find a way to say things. But the censorship was really difficult. So we are trying to find a way. How can we say things? How can we express what we are feeling in such a way that they're going to accept? We did it. Many times we have to go to talk with the guys there, and they say, no, this, no, but that look, no, but why not? No, because you are saying that. Many times they even thought that we are saying something that we are not, and other times they didn't really know what was going on.
I could tell when the finished lyrics, I mean, they missed a lot of things.
They miss a lot of things. So it depends a lot of who was there, because they had different guys. One were more flexible, another one's not so much. So it was a constant fight. But at the same time that would give us a lot of problems, but gave us a lot of let's do it,
a lot of fire,
a
lot of influence, inspiration. Yep.
And the audience would love when we would play and sing those songs in a theater. Or the reaction, it was so big, and not only for the music but for the ideas. So it was hard. It was hard, but we did with a lot of records. My brother Paulo, he was very close to me in age, because he's 3 years older than me. So when we were younger, for sure, the older brother is always he was your hero. So, I would follow for him, for the girls, for all the places. So Paulo knew exactly what I was trying to say with the music. That because we would live in the same house in the beginning, we are 3 brothers and 2 sisters. Would stay in the same house with my parents. I would be playing the piano all the time. So he would listen. Then one day, that was in the very beginning, he asked, "Can I try to write something to you for these songs that you are doing?" He would like very much to read books. And he did. And little by little, Paulo started to get professional, very good in what he was doing. And the fact that we are friends and everything made it very easy, because we are living the same things, having the same ideas. So Paulo Sérgio was the perfect partner for me on that time of my writing.
I don't want to take up too much of your time, but another record of yours, which I find just great, is the soundtrack to the Brazilian edition of Sesame Street, which technically is Via Sésamo, if I'm pronouncing it right.
Yeah, Villa Sésamo.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
1974, for those who don't know. I love that soundtrack. I have 2 kids who are 4 and 7, so I'll play that for them sometimes, and they love it. And for those who don't know, the soundtrack is, Marcos and I believe members of Azimuth, and you guys are other players as well. But, Sesame Street is an influential part of many of our childhoods.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
And that was so lovely to do it, because when they ask us, they choose us, me and my brother, to do it, they gave, for sure they had their ideas, what we could say in one song or another song, so to teach the kids. But they want us to do it in a very normal way, not to to be very child, and said, look, do your way, your style, play whatever you want, the Rhodes, the Fender Rhodes. It was the first time that I played the Rhodes,
Wow,
to tell you the truth. Yeah, because they had, tinha Neto, Sebastian Neto, he was the bass player of Jobim, and he even played with Sergio Mendes. And he had came to Brazil with the Rhodes. So they brought to the studio, saying, Marcos, try this Rhodes, see if you like it. Man, I love it. You know how much I love the Rhodes. So I kept, hey, that's what I want. So I'm playing the Fender Rhodes there for the first time, really. And I never saw. It was so important, Sesame Street, to be able to do whatever I wanted. The grooves and everything, it worked so well.
It's a great collection. People go to YouTube or wherever and listen to it because it's so cool. I wanted to mention, kind of go into Fly Cruzeiro and Brazilians a bit. So, two labels, great labels we distribute, as you know. Mr. Bongo and Tidal Waves Music, they're re-releasing soon two of your classic records. Brazilians, a record that came out in 1968, believe in Warner in the States, and it was your first record in the States domestically? Is
Brazilian
that right?
was the first one.
Yeah.
And it was originally for Warner Brothers in America, but I recorded it in Brazil. I recorded in a studio.
Oh, I did not know. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. We were recording in Brazil because we wanted to have in that record that flavor.
Yep.
Because it's a record with an orchestra and a lot of percussion and everything. So we need all those musicians. They are the best musicians of Brazil of that time. They are in that record. So so it had to be there. So Ray Gilbert, who was a producer of Jobim and was now start to be my producer, he went to Brazil, and we went to that studio in Lapa. It's called Music Disc, the studio. Very, very good one, because we needed that good sound. And then we recorded the instrumental album, and that was the first one for America. And it was so strong because it came out very, very good, you know. And then later, when I came, then I did the vocal, Samba 68 for Verve, né?
Yep.
But this one, Brazilians, it's in my heart.
It's a great record.
I love it.
Beautiful
man.
record.
I love it.
The playing on it and
I love so much.
The strings and the production is gorgeous. And a whole other flip side, Fly Cruzeiro, which could not be more different from Brazilians in all the great ways. They're both such strong records. Love to talk to you about that one a bit. So, in a nutshell, but I want you to expand on it. But for those who are listening who don't know, I believe this story was that your dad worked at Cruzeiro Airlines.
Yes.
And your brother, one of your brothers as well, worked at the company. Is that true?
Cruzeiro, yeah, that's true.
Okay.
He was a pilot, my brother.
Oh, okay. And Cruzeiro Airline was a fairly big airline in Brazil, right?
Big airline.
Yeah. And so
my father was the director, president, and lawyer of the company.
Of the airline. Okay.
Yeah, airline.
And so I'd love to hear how this came about, because it's so just amazing and random and weird, but not the record, but just how all this came about, an airline making this record. Was it kind of to promote Brazilian tourism, or was it more of like a gift to people who were frequent flyers?
It was a gift because we had at that time a studio. I was not big studio. The studio where I recorded Sesame Street. It was our own studio, my brother and myself and some other two guys. Because we had that, we had that studio to record for sometimes films, sound scores. Very simple, only with 2 channels, to tell you the 2 tracks only. It's fun. Well, at the beginning in Brazil, my first record was also with only 2 tracks, which is amazing. And that's all. So we are doing these sound scores here and there. And then my father, he asked us, can you record something for my company, for the company? So I want to give this as a gift for all the clients. And I said, absolutely. So we got Azimuth, who were the guys from the group Azimuth, and me. And we got the songs. I wrote a song called Cruzeiro, né? that they would be played in different places by Cruzeiro when there were their meetings and I wrote the song and we got other songs, even Summer Sun also we put, and other classic songs, and did that album especially for Cruzeiro, for my father. So he was absolutely happy. So, and we thought that would be just there, you know? But I was very surprised at how late after my career went on, people start to look so much for
they come back that record.
Yes.
It's great.
It was great. And I even didn't have myself, to tell you the truth. So the people start to give me one copy or two copies. But then I listen. When I listen again, I love it so much. And well, it was so well done by everybody in that studio. Has a incredible atmosphere.
What was the name of that studio?
Aquarius.
Aquarius. Okay, and so that record came out in '72. So it was recorded '71, '72, or something.
That's
like that?
it.
Okay, and so was the players you and Asmus solo, or were there other people on it as well? Do you remember?
Let me remember. I think it was just myself and Azimut. I don't remember if we had some kind of percussion, but if we have, could not be Mamão, the drummer, because of the two tracks. We wouldn't be able to record another track.
Right.
But I don't think we have a percussion. I think it's only the three guys. You remember something else? Because then we have some strings also. That
definitely some strings.
That was written by Bertrand that we put over in the other channel. But I think we are the only four musicians that job.
And who picked out the songs to do? Was that you, or because it kind of you guys do some just great classics of Brazilian music?
We did together with my father.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because of my father, I said, okay, well, what do you want? Now, can I choose something? Yeah. My father was very enthusiastic about the music, so we did together with him. No, let's this. So it was the Azimut, myself, even my brother and my father. We got together and we chose the songs.
And how? Talk a little bit about your relationship with Azimut, because they've been a big part of your life and career, as and vice versa, and they have phenomenal records on their own. But around this time, I believe this is the first thing you did with them. Is that right? Or at least on record. And then a lot of us, I think a lot of people think that the first thing is the I'm going to pronounce it wrong. I apologize, but the 1973 soundtrack O Fabuloso Fittipaldi. No,
you are right.
But that's a great soundtrack too.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. But this is the one.
Yeah. And so, how did you meet them? How did all that come about?
I met them. Now that we are talking, you are refreshing my memory. I met them because in this studio, because to record these soundtracks that we used to record in this studio, somebody brought them to play, to perform with us, in these scores. So we had already been together doing this and doing that, but a whole thing together as this album Cruzeiro, that was the first time that let's do something. They were not called Azimut at that time. Mm-hmm. They were a trio that they would perform together, but not as Azimut. But we got together there, and we did the whole album because we felt how much we had in common in our styles. It fits so well.
It's gelled.
Yeah, absolutely. So you are right, because sometimes people ask me, what the first time? Sometimes I sing Previsão do Tempo, or sometimes I sing the Fabulous Fittipaldi. But this is the one. The first time, it wasn't. They didn't have the name already Azimut, but they were Azimut and myself together for the first time.
The Previsão do Tempo is just a phenomenal record, I have to say.
Thank you.
I mean, that's one of my all-time favorites of anyone's catalog just in the world.
Thank
that
you.
record is just
Thanks a lot.
It's just so timeless. It sounds like it's made, it still feels like it's the future. I mean, like we all haven't caught up to it, but it's just.
It's funny that you are saying
such
that
a special
because
album.
I am now organizing a project for August.
Não,
For when?
21 de julho.
July 2021 in São Paulo that I'm playing Previsão do Tempo again. So I got in touch. I just rehearsed before
wow.
I came, and I was so excited to do it. So good, man.
You got to come back here and do that.
I hope so.
You really should. I mean, people
I
would
hope so.
freak out to hear that record live here.
That's a
Honestly.
very good idea.
Yeah,
very good idea.
I mean, you could do two. I mean, you could do two sets, and one is that, one is a great hit set or something. You got so many great songs.
Yeah.
What else I going to ask you about the? To go back to the Fly Cruzeiro record. I guess go back to the airline because again, it's fascinating. What was the involvement of the airline? Did they just finance everything, and the concept was kind of yours and your dad's?
Yes,
that's correct.
Yes, for sure. I didn't ask no money for my father.
So you did it for free.
I did for free.
Yeah, but Azimuth maybe.
Azimuth was paid for sure,
yeah.
but nothing so much.
Right.
Because they liked also my father very, very much. So it was. They didn't have to spend too much money. My father was absolutely crazy for music and the airplanes. All this. He was a very good lawyer and concentrated in this. My brother Paulo Sérgio, he became a pilot because of this. He was a co-pilot in Cruzeiro, so he was flying all those first. Airplanes like the DC-3 with only two engines, would go to the north of Brazil.
Yep.
So he was in love with, and until today he still have a small airplane. And
So this is your same brother who's the lyricist.
Yes, Paulo Sérgio. Yeah,
Gotcha. Wow,
he was a
didn't realize
pilot.
that. Okay.
And even
Wow.
the first lyrics that he wrote to me, he was. I think the first one he was in the airplane. Flying to somewhere, and he got the paper and started to write the first lyric in the airplane. So that was the love of the family.
That's
because
great.
my grandfather, father of my father, he was also the director, and then becomes my father. And then after a certain time, with other companies coming, then Cruzeiro went off, and that's all. But it was a very good time. I have good remembering of that love that my father had for Cruzeiro and music at the same
That's wonderful.
time. Yeah.
That's really nice. And if you even remember, I must ask, like, how many records were pressed? Do you even have a clue? I mean, because these were just given away to frequent flyer customers. I mean, like 1,000 or less, or
Not 1,000.
yeah.
Not 1,000. I would say that maybe if we can get close, maybe 500
Wow, okay.
would be the maximum,
Yeah.
because it was a very particular thing. So
Yep.
no more than 500, I'm sure.
That's great. And there's another Cruzeiro promo LP called Brazil by Cruzeiro. Were you involved in that one? It came out late.
No.
Okay.
This came after.
It's a little later, yeah.
It's funny. It came from the fans. They got that name and started to create this by Cruzeiro.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a bootleg. The
It
other
is-
one?
Well, but it's from my friend, né? It's Clécius by Cruzeiro. He made that by Cruzeiro thing and the Facebook and everything. Clécius. So, yeah.
It's a nice-
Homenageando.
Huh?
Mais ou menos.
It was
It's a nice record
like
as
a
well.
celebrating
Yeah,
the
yeah.
record. So
That's
I
great,
met
yeah.
him. He's a very nice guy, and he knows everything about me. So I never complain about
Right.
anything.
That's great. That's great. It's a good attitude for it.
Yeah.
And what do you guys have on the horizon? You mentioned that you're going to be touring you're going to Portugal from here.
Yes, from here, I'm going back to Europe, because I was in Europe 1 month ago promoting the Sempre album. Now I'm going back to Europe. I stay there until I'm going to Israel. I'm going to Portugal, Italy,
Barcelona.
Barcelona. Then I go back to Portugal in Espinho to play with a very nice orchestra, jazz orchestra of 19 years old boys of Portugal. Gonna be very interesting. So a lot of my music with arrangements.
That's great.
And then I returned to Brazil on the 15th. Then I have the Previsão do Tempo project. Then I have Japan in October with Azimuth. And by the end of the year, I have another record coming.
Oh, wow. Another new album.
Another new album.
By the end of this year or next year?
Of this year.
Okay.
That's why we ask if we could...
Space it out.
Yeah, because it's coming in October.
Okay.
So this is going to be another album.
Wow.
It's already mixed. There is a kind of Previsão do Tempo feeling, that album. You know, very, very... all new songs also. And I don't know, next year, and then Japan, and then, I don't know, next year, I don't know what we're going to do. This album that I've recorded with Adrian and Ali, I think the idea is to be released sometime in the next year, because they have some others. So we have to be careful with all the releases, one don't affect the other. No?
You're in a good place, though. You got a lot of projects
going
on.
Yes.
You're busy. It's good.
I'm very glad that you are doing this job with Cruzeiro and Brazilians, because, as I tell you, you have me done a wonderful work for my music.
Thank you so
I
much.
love so well done, with a lot of care and love, I know. And the way that we talk to each other, you ask me to explain things that were not said when in the original ones, and then you made me remember all the things in the studio.
Well, it's important. It's important to have the context. It's important to share in the history, and it's
people love it, and so it was a very good help, strong thing for me to have this work with you, and now also in these two important albums.
Thank you so much. We should give a big thanks to Alan Thayer, because Alan's really the one who turned us on to your music maybe a decade ago, and he produced and wrote the liner notes for all 4 of the reissues we did, and then also the Rasmo Carlos ones. And I believe you introduced us to, or helped out with putting a good word in, I think, for us with Erasmo and his family.
That's true.
It's been great to reissue his music too. But Alan is incredible. I mean, such a authority on the music, and really knows the history. And he's really opened up our eyes, a lot of us in the United States, to your music and other Brazilian artists. So a huge thank you to him. Hopefully you come back again to Los Angeles and other U.S. cities who'd love to see you play.
I hope so. I think that we have opened again this coming back to LA. Even Adrian and Ellie, they are saying, Marcos, this must be just the beginning. You have to do a lot of things here again. So, and I would love to. So maybe different projects like Previsão do Tempo, or something around the albums that are going to be released. So many things that we could come. And not to LA, not only to LA, but to San Francisco. I have a lot of already producers and managers, agents looking for my agents to do this.
I think San Francisco would be good. Chicago.
Yes,
I could see Seattle, Atlanta. I mean, Austin. A number of cities. I mean,
I hope that we can do this. This would be a very good idea for next year.
It'd be great.
Absolutely.
Or just come back and go surfing. Do you still go surfing? Do you still surf?
My surfboard is in the garage after my sons got older, and they are now working and not surf anymore. So I am waiting for them to call me again. I don't know if they will.
Okay.
But if they will, I will.
What about Patricia? Does she surf here?
No.
No.
It's not a very you don't like a sea girl. Not a girl from Ipanema. No,
that's okay. That's okay. Jack here at Lightning Attic, who you met in the other room, he's a big surfer. So next time you come back, he'll take you surfing.
Okay, he can help me.
Yeah. Well, it's really a pleasure. Thanks so much for letting us reissue your music. It's such an honor.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you
for wonderful to have you on the
work
podcast.
in my music.
I appreciate it.
Thanks
it means a lot to all of us here. So
thank you.
Signing off, and for those listening, thanks for listening to the Lightning Attic podcast. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Bye-bye.
telling me to go where I can now. Such a long way, I don't even know where I am. Such a long